going to go ahead and get started. So once again, thank you everyone for joining MASS Inc. to celebrate transit-oriented development planning in our gateway cities. I'm Dr. Tracy Corley, lead of MASS Inc.'s Transformative Transit-Oriented Development Initiative and your host for today. Of course, I've already introduced Rachel Klein and Meredith St. John, who are here to assist you in case you have any needs for technical assistance. To get started, I want to just start by acknowledging our judges. I'm going to advance the screen, and I apologize. I'm working with multiple screens here, so it's a little tricky. And it doesn't seem to want to advance. Great. I think it's because Zoom has taken over my computer. Give me one moment, people. Okay. I'm going to try this again. All right. Okay, so I would like to thank our judges who helped us by providing technical assistance to MASS Inc., as well as were available for technical assistance for our participating teams. Thank you to Susan Connolly, Herb Nolan, Mary Skelton Roberts, Matt Smith, and Julia Wallers. Second, I'd also like to acknowledge the Jonathan M. Tisch College of Civic Life at Tufts University. Without Rachel, our Tufts Tisch Scholar intern, MASS Inc. would not have had the capacity to carry out this competition. Thank you, Rachel and Tisch College. Finally, I want to recognize all of the students who participated in this inaugural event. Everyone's lives have been disrupted by the pandemic, but college students across the country have faced very unique circumstances. Despite the challenges, all of our teams have prepared exceptional presentations. So thank you to our students, faculty, city staff, and community partners for all of your hard work. And I want to give give our best wishes to all of those students who spent their last semester with us participating in this competition. So I am having trouble getting PowerPoint to advance. And I've done this before, so I don't know why it's not advancing. Actually, Meredith, do you mind taking over the screen and sharing the PowerPoint and advancing for us?
Sure thing.
Excellent. All right.
Just a quick review. Sorry, folks.
Okay, yeah, so go ahead and advance to the next slide. So I apologize for eating up so much of our time here this morning trying to figure out our technical issues, so we appreciate your patience. So MASS Inc. launched this competition to help our gateway cities with much needed planning and project design in their transit-oriented neighborhoods. We offered each city the option to propose either a planning or tactical design project. Then we reached out to universities across the state in search of teams that would be interested in working with our gateway cities, with their staff and community stakeholders. In alignment with our 2020 research focus on socioeconomic and regional equity, MASS Inc. and the judges emphasized that proposals should improve regional mobility and access for people of all ages, abilities, classes, and cultures, plus should examine additional city needs aside from transit, such as jobs, housing, and cultural activities. In addition to evaluating equity, the judges evaluated how each submission's quality, implementation planning, and stakeholder participation in the planning and design process, as well as the relevance to the local context, were expressed in the project. But why is equitable TOD important to transforming gateway cities? Today, we are fortunate to have my good friend Karen Kelleher here to help answer this question. Karen is the Executive Director of the Boston Office of Local Initiative Support Corporation. That's a little bit of a mouthful, but they go by LISC. LISC provides financing and technical assistance for affordable housing and small business development in towns and cities across Massachusetts. We're especially excited about the recapitalization of LISC's Equitable Transit-Oriented Development Accelerator Fund, which helps build subsidized and naturally affordable housing near transit hubs. Let's give Karen a warm welcome, on mute of course, as she explains more about LISC and why Equitable TOD. Take it on, Karen. Done for now.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for that little bit of applause. I appreciate being invited to participate in this event, and I'm so excited to see all of your presentations and what you have in mind for Springfield, Lowell, Brockton, and Lynn. I was actually, by accident, privileged to attend one of your local meetings in Brockton, and I know Rob May is in the chat box cheering you guys on. You did some great work. Had a preview of the others, and they're all very exciting. So I'm going to be brief. LISC, as Tracy said, is the Local Initiative Support Corporation. We essentially are a organization that supports others doing comprehensive community development. We do that throughout the nation, but we have very deep local roots. Here in Massachusetts, we're called LISC Boston, but we serve the entire state, and we have a particular focus when we're outside of Greater Boston on the gateway cities. And we're also part of the Massachusetts Smart Growth Alliance because we are deeply committed to connecting all of the different disciplines in our work, the housing, the transit, access to jobs, small businesses, commercial corridor development, and the strength of the local organizations that make that work happen. So that's what we're all about. We are both a financing agency, but also a capacity building organization. And so we do everything from financing affordable housing development. You're going to hear me talk a little bit about that because we've kind of gone very laser focused on incentivizing transit-oriented affordable housing development with one of our financing projects. But we also do a lot of capacity building and other kinds of initiatives where we are trying to drive planning initiatives like this one to really ignite the creativity and imagination of communities like these gateway cities that you've been focused on, so that that community can move forward with exciting plans that are tailored to the needs of that community. So Tracy gave me a tall order, which is why we still need transformative transit-oriented development. And so I kind of need to acknowledge the ways that the world has changed because the world kind of changed on us in the last 2 months. And I think we're going to have to do a little bit of rethinking the way we've been thinking about density and urban development to take into account the need to be safe and to be sort of 6 feet apart from each other. And I don't have a scope into the future, so I don't know exactly what forms that's going to take, but all of our design work is going to need to take that into account. I personally think that the growth of interest and sort of willingness to live in urban areas, that desirability is going to keep growing. I may take a pause. There may be a little bit of a shift back, but that's been on the rise for a long time. And in Greater Boston, the growth of the market for urban living has caused urban living to be less and less and less accessible and affordable to low and moderate income people who we need for our workforce and who we believe ought to be served. So the gateway cities have additional challenges because they don't, for the most part, and they're very diverse, have the same market opportunities that you might have in Greater Boston. So my fear for the gateway cities and for transit-oriented development and neighborhood revitalization in the gateway cities is that they will suffer from further diminished market opportunities as a result of the market correction that happens because of COVID-19. But a few other things have happened in this crisis, which include the fact that the inequities that are inherent in so many of our structures have been laid bare by this crisis. And that's true from a health perspective, and you see that you're reading about all of these things in the newspaper, right? You see the stories about how Chelsea is a hotspot in terms of people being infected, and we've become aware that all of the essential jobs, with some exceptions, are low-wage jobs that are done to a disproportionate extent by people of color and people who are economically struggle in our world. So those, I hope that there's an opportunity in this moment of crisis for us. And when I say us, I mean all of you. I mean Tracy, who has a platform and she even has a podcast to talk about it and broadcast that, but she was broadcasting it before. You all have voices too. And we need to find ways to tell the stories that are powerful and that get to people who weren't hearing them before this crisis. So, there are some inclusion and access results of this crisis that I hope we're going to lean into. Meetings like this and just cross state collaboration. A lot of things happened in person before this, and it's very difficult for people who aren't in Greater Boston to participate in statewide collaboration. Cities that aren't connected by transit, people who don't just get in their car and drive places, have trouble getting there. Right now we can't be together, but this mode of being together is available to anyone with a computer and a Wi-Fi link. We need to make that accessible to more people, but public meetings are more accessible in some ways. So there are opportunities here that we need to lean into and figure out safe ways to make them possible. I'm only supposed to talk for 10 minutes, so I'm going to talk just a minute about our transit-oriented development fund. I have some slides with pictures, but I think it will take too long if we go there. This fund, we created it a few years ago to try to make sure that we were seeding development that was transit-oriented and affordable. And this is a statewide program. So there were many projects in Boston and Greater Boston, but a good third or half of them are in gateway cities. And I wanted to tell you guys some of the stories that came out of that fund. What the fund does is it makes capital available to community-based developers, and it's a housing tool, but on a low-cost basis with very little risk and the ability to acquire properties without having equity dollars and to get enough dollars to be able to not just acquire the property, but start the development process. And so we've been able to serve 22 different developments, and we've created over 1,200 housing units. About 70% of them are affordable, and there's commercial space in many of them, and we've leveraged over $430 million of other dollars for development costs. There are always many sources in all affordable housing projects. But some of the stories in gateway cities that have come out of this program include in Salem, where the CDC in Salem used this fund to acquire numerous buildings in the El Punto neighborhood, which is right near downtown Salem, and it is very close to transit, has excellent transit access, had been disinvested. They purchased those buildings and then used the buildings as the beginning of an art museum, an outdoor art museum. So the El Punto neighborhood art museum has more than 50 world-class artist painted murals within a 3-block radius and has become a focal point, not only defining that neighborhood, but even bringing tourists into a neighborhood and redefining that neighborhood for the people who live there, who now have a different level of pride. So it's a part of a strategy for revitalizing a neighborhood and doing it in a way that is empowering the people who live there. We also were able to support a nonprofit in Brockton that's purchased 2 existing there's 2 different deals, but they're putting affordable and mixed income housing in downtown Brockton. One is an existing building that's being converted to housing, and one is new construction. And both of those are adding those important bodies with their wallets attached to them to downtown spaces to revitalize that space and feed the businesses there. But both are mixed income, which means that they're creating inclusion for the existing residents while also bringing additional dollars into those neighborhoods and doing it with transit access. And then the third story I would tell is about new housing construction near transit in Revere and in Lawrence, to transforming gateway cities, and to Revere to a significant extent is starting to have lots of gentrification. And so creating affordable housing in a place that is rapidly gentrifying is like basically holding on to some of the inclusion in the existing community. The last story would be taking market rate housing and making it affordable for the same reason in gateway cities. And we used the fund most recently after we recapitalized it, and we recapitalized it with funding from Partners Healthcare which is a healthcare institution understanding this intersection between health and housing that has just been laid bare by COVID-19. They're at the heart of fighting that battle in Chelsea and in Revere right now. We were able to help a nonprofit purchase an existing market rate building a few months ago in Chelsea that is going to be converted to about 80% affordable housing in that community. So it's one tool, this fund, it's a housing tool. It's not a big enough tool to drive the magnitude of investment in the creative ideas that all of you are coming up with. All of the things you are envisioning are a critical part of helping these communities to develop, but they also require investment, public investment and private investment. And sometimes the communities you're working in really struggle to attract private investment and need more subsidy from public dollars. So one of the things we're doing right now is advocating for significant investment in very small businesses, in disadvantaged businesses, in those that are not going to be able to take advantage of the federal dollars that are being pushed out for COVID-19 relief because they're not part of the financial system. They don't have easy access to the kind of documentation that's necessary. The relief effort for small business is leaving behind many of the small businesses on the corridors in gateway cities. And so we're deeply investing in trying to bring resources in communities, but we're also advocating for resources at the state and federal level to be targeted at those businesses and those communities so that we can help equip the communities you guys have just been working in to go and fight to maintain those corridors so that they can keep having the lively streetscapes, the economic investment, the growth of their tax base, and the thriving kinds of communities that you're envisioning. So I'm probably over my time. I'm going to wrap it up and pass it back to Tracy. I'm very excited to hear you guys talk about what you have envisioned and dreamed for these 4 gateway cities. And I thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Karen. I mean, that was right on point in that, you know, we know that transit-oriented development planning is going to be critical as we're coming out of this pandemic to make sure that we're continuing to invest in our gateway cities and making sure that we're continuing to invest in projects that actually help to eliminate the inequities that currently exist and are exacerbated as this pandemic is kind of showing with housing, with jobs, with economic development. We want to make sure that we're addressing that, and these projects are very critical to kind of getting that off the ground. So we're excited to see what our 9 teams have created over the past 4 months. I would, like I say, ask everyone to hold their applause until after the presentations, but that's kind of a moot point today. So however, if you want to use the chat to send cheers and bravos, please do so. So let's start our Gateway City tour in Brockton, a southeastern Massachusetts city with 97,000 inhabitants. And by the way, Meredith, if you could go on to, there we go, to that slide. Perfect. They have 97,000 inhabitants and 3 rail stops along the MBTA's Middleborough-Lakeville line. The team from MIT collaborated with the city's Director of Planning and Economic Development, Rob May, and the Village Neighborhood Association. I'm going to ask, if you could advance to the next slide, Meredith. I'm going to ask Emma to actually kind of walk us through what the MIT team has created for the city of Brockton.
All right, hi everybody. I'm actually going to share a 5-minute video and I'm going to put it to full volume. So if it's too loud, just turn your computer volume down. Hello, we are Team 1 Brockton. My name is Emma Gonzalez Roberts. I am a first-year master's student at MIT's Department of Urban Studies and Planning, along with my colleagues Natalia Coachman, Wanyang So, and Yair Titelbaum. This design proposal comes from a semester-long practicum at MIT, co-taught by Professor Amy Glassmeyer and Teresa Lynch, Principal of Mass Economics. We were partnered with Rob May, Brockton's Director of Planning and Economic Development. After learning about Brockton's history, demographics, and economy, one key takeaway for us was that despite having many assets, including hospitals, good public schools, and strong public transportation, Brockton's downtown has struggled to attract significant economic investment in recent decades. Simultaneously, the city has experienced a significant demographic shift, which is demonstrated by the visuals below. Between 1990 and today, the population has flipped from being majority white to majority non-white. The green dots represent white residents and the orange dots represent Black residents. Through demographic analysis, as well as interviews with over 50 Brockton residents and leaders, we observed a persistent narrative of a split Brockton. The city is working to address this narrative through several economic development initiatives, and we use this project as an opportunity to support that work. When we asked our Gateway City partner, Rob May, where we could be most helpful, he quickly identified the downtown Trout Brook Redevelopment District, a 66-acre former rail yard located at the heart of the city. We chose to focus our design on the southwest corner of the district due to its proximity to transit, downtown, and its capacity for high-density development. This image shows the site's current conditions. There is an existing housing development with 100 market rate units, several small businesses, and an unoccupied industrial building owned by Verizon. The site is directly adjacent to one of the city's main commercial arteries, Court Street, the Brockton Area Transit Center, and the Brockton MBTA stop. Our recommendation is to transform this 3.4-acre site into a vibrant campus that is anchored by a civic center called One Brockton Center. The proposed campus includes mixed-income housing, vibrant retail space, significant green space, and accessible transit that is designed using inclusive practices. The recommended strategy is anchored by a phased development approach, which allows time between each phase to decrease development risk and stabilize each new addition while also allowing time for community input and local equity investment opportunities. The first phase consists of significant transit improvements, primarily building 2 new connecting streets to integrate the site into downtown Brockton, building sidewalks, bus lanes, and bike lanes to create a safe and reliable transportation network, and installing street signage, street furniture, and solar-powered streetlights along main paths to create a sense of place and security. Phase 2 includes the construction of One Brockton Market Square, a central space that could accommodate events such as festivals, farmers markets, art exhibits, and movies in the park, as well as the construction of a retail center to activate Court Street. Phase 3 doubles the amount of buildable land by adding recreational and green space, including 2 full-size courts, as well as more commercial space. Phase 4 includes the construction of the site's anchor, the One Brockton Center, a large public facility designed for Brocktonians to convene, learn, and socialize. This phase also includes the construction of 1 mixed-income housing development. At this stage, we recommend forming a community land trust in partnership with a local nonprofit to make long-term affordable housing on the site possible. Phase 5 adds 3 more housing developments built using a prefabricated construction model and cross-laminated timber, which help lower costs. This rendering shows what future development could look like. This long-term vision includes a total of 869,000 square feet of buildable land. Our model proposes 6 residential buildings with a total of 365 housing units, 60% of which are below market rate in order to address Brockton's challenge of many residents being house poor. The model includes significant green space, civic and educational facilities, public parking, and commercial space. The crown jewel of the site, One Brockton Center, would include classrooms and meeting space and was inspired in part by the Bruce C. Bowling municipal building that serves as the headquarters for Boston Public Schools and an anchor for the Nubian Square community. We hope our analysis, recommendations, and proposal inspire Brockton leaders and residents to pursue inclusive, transformative, transit-oriented economic development. We would be happy to share our full proposal and report with anyone who is interested in learning more. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Achieving One Brockton team. That's awesome. All right, Meredith, if you can take us over to the next slide about Lowell. That's where we're heading next. Lowell is a Merrimack Valley city of almost 112,000 people at the terminus of the MBTA's Lowell line. 3 teams from Harvard's Graduate School of Design worked with city planners Christopher Hayes and Sandra Swale. So if you advance to the next slide, Meredith, the first team to share their vision is Lowell Tlc, who worked with the Elliott Church and the organization 902 Development. Chelsea, why don't you give us a look at what you guys have created for your vision?
Sure, let me go ahead and share my screen. I also have a pre-recorded video.
Chelsea, I think we're
No
having
sound.
difficulty hearing your presentation.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Sorry about that, folks. Good afternoon, folks. My name is Chelsea, and I am your presenter for this afternoon. Together, Abby and I are your team for Lowell TLC, or for short, Tender Loving Care, a mobile pop-up village. We're very excited to be here today to share the work that we've been doing over this semester for the 2020 Mass Inc. TTOD competition. So what is Lowell TLC? Well, Lowell TLC is a platform that simultaneously prioritizes public realm activation and addresses societal stigma around homelessness. We transform underutilized streets and parking lots, as well as vacant or available property in Lowell, into lively environments for all public space users, regardless of whether they are housed or unhoused. We envision Lowell TLC as a pilot project operating in the Jackson-Appleton Middlesex neighborhood, which is an area I'll talk more about in the next slide, with an operating schedule of 2 times a week in 5-hour intervals during the mornings and evenings. So just a second ago, I mentioned the jam, but what do I mean by a tale of 2 jams, as this slide alludes to? Well, this is a phrase that my GSD colleagues are familiar with. It was a term coined by our core urban planning studio last year that engaged with Lowell on a separate but related issue. So this is the jam, this non-grayed out area here. And we characterize this area as having the tale of 2 jams because it has essentially been bisected into 2 parts through inequitable planning and development efforts, which have almost exclusively prioritized revitalization around Mill Number 5, this large indoor shopping complex on Appleton Street. So it's an ideal location for further TTOD for this reason and others. For example, future infill development will continue in these areas for its proximity to public transit and for a number of neighborhood institutions serving the homeless, as highlighted here. And this tale of 2 jams really came into focus last year during the studio's engagement workshop. So these are but a few of the things Lowellians had to say about the jam. So with this feedback in mind, I'll pivot a bit to speaking on the goals and design methodology for the project. We apply and center the conceptual framework of designing for the margins that some of you may be familiar with. And we offer a provocation that this is designing for the margins in ways that over time blur those margins as users realize these are amenities that everyone enjoys and needs. And as we do this, we begin to rehumanize users of public space, the space itself, and gradually create more opportunities for equitable systemic change. The engagement and this framework led us to then develop this menu, if you will, of potential programming ingredients that really defines Lowell TLC. And we classify each of these ingredients into distinct categories: 1, base; 2, supplementary; and 3, seasonal activities. So much in the same way you're fixing up a meal, what are those basic components that you have to have? What are the things that you then sprinkle on? And lastly, what are those seasonal ingredients, the extras that you think about adding or supplementing when fall or spring roll around? So this collage gives you a visual of the different types of menu items during spring and summer months in an outdoor setting. This site is at the corner of Gorham and Appleton Street, which is currently a city-owned, underutilized parking lot in the jam area. Here you have the base, the retrofitted shower bus, and some other activities, both seasonal and supplementary programming. Similarly, we envision the scale and types of programming that could occur in an indoor setting. Obviously, winter is a critical time for needed intervention, particularly for the unhoused, who are simply looking for warmth, safety, shelter, and something to keep them busy. This location, 78 Middlesex Street, is also in the jam. It's a fitness club that's now vacant, and we see a lot of potential in that this event space can be restored to function for the purposes of Lowell TLC. In terms of implementation, Lowell TLC is designed to be replicated on all scales. For example, on the shower end, the city can either opt for a full-size bus with 100% shower capacity or a smaller sized shower trailer that is significantly more cost-effective to purchase and maintain. And lastly, we offer the following considerations as our city partners begin implementation. We recommend they think through these processes in 4 phases as integral parts to achieving success and TTOD related outcomes for the project. And that's all, folks. Abby and I want to extend a warm thank you to the City of Lowell, DPD, and the numerous CBOs that engaged with us and provided feedback over the course of many months to make this project a better one. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Chelsea. Now our second team from Lowell is the Tanner to Lerda project, worked with the Lowell Regional Transit Authority to create the following vision. So Sydney, you want to give us an idea of what's going on here?
Hi. Yes, let me share my screen really quickly.
Hello, I'm Sydney Pettigo. I'm a master's student in urban planning at the GSD, and I'll be speaking here about Tanner to LRTA, a public realm plan to catalyze development near a transit hub. This project came out of a spring studio class that conducted community engagement around an urban renewal plan. What I found is an area with much potential for change, but little to start the process. Ayer City is a struggling industrial area cut off from a nearby and growing downtown by a river, highway, and railroad. Several plans have been made, but none finished. In particular, a complete streets plan dances around this area. A landscape plan made years ago casts a beautiful but still unseen future, and an urban renewal plan has yet to spark significant interest from buyers. Along the yellow route, there is a YMCA, both small and large companies, well-loved industrial buildings, and views of the river and woods. These positive elements lie alongside a Superfund site, some auto shops and junkyards, and worsening traffic and parking on surrounding major roads. Overall, this area's proximity to a growing city core and transit hub, the great natural beauty of the river and woods, and the amount of available space make it a place that could add more to city life. This sentiment was confirmed through engagement with the site stakeholders. In addition to several months of community engagement through the Spring Studio and multiple site visits, I was able to communicate with local business owners, landowners, community members, and passerbys, some of whom are shown here. Their input clearly spoke to a need for change, but lack of momentum or resources to do so. In particular, the industrial landowners discussed their openness to moving their business or to make way for other companies. However, some were doubtful of change since they haven't seen much community engagement or implementation. Many visitors to the site discussed problems with speeding cars, difficulty finding proper pedestrian routes, and an overall lack of maintenance. For the sake of this project, I've categorized the problems into 3 areas: access, use, and safety. Access. There are informal and limited pedestrian paths as seen in the walkshed analysis, as well as a general lack of street design for cyclists. Use. In addition to being underused, the site comes across as abandoned or uncared for, with a general disbelief from stakeholders that change will happen. Safety. The speeding and dominance of cars makes pedestrians uncomfortable and is likely a strong deterrent from more footfall. These reasons may prevent others from deciding to develop in this area or make use of the bus and rail lines offered by Gallagher Station. In return, without that development interest, there is not much funding or incentive to build out the area. This situation comes across as a gridlock that needs a catalytic change, which could be as simple as small-scale public realm improvements. These changes would strategically strengthen the connections between this route and the transit station and show continued commitment to development in the area. This bar along the top shows several improvements corresponding to problem categories, with the map and perspective below showing how this very realizable future could fit along the route. For access, Bike paths, pedestrian footpaths, and artwork would make the area more open and connect people traveling from the station directly to their route. For use, parklets and facilities would encourage lingering and signal that this area is open. For safety, crosswalks, speed bumps, lighting, and speed signs all would help visitors feel safe and signal to cars that they are indeed sharing the space. Several of these components allow for designs that would reflect the site's heritage and origins. For example, murals could feature trains, or planters and benches could nod to an industrial aesthetic. And all of these changes would be incremental, manageable, and speak to the future use of this area. Their phasing and cost would be manageable as well, layering the changes while providing plenty of leeway for the city to decide the pace. The more straightforward additions for safety and access are prioritized here, since they may be realized faster and have the most significant impact. With such changes, there's a greater hope that this area will be able to reach its full potential as a connected, thriving, and contributing part of Lowell. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much, Sydney. Next up, we have Finding Common Ground, and they're the final team for the City of Lowell. Let's say they worked with the Elliott Church. Meredith, yeah, if you could go to, So to give everyone a visual so they can kind of connect this up. They worked with the Elliott Church, and let's see what they designed. Sydney Upchurch, would you like to now share your presentation?
Hi, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen.
Okay.
Everybody see okay? Okay. My name is Sydney Upchurch, and I'm a second-year urban planning student at Harvard, and this project came out of a core studio semester we were working on with the City of Lowell. I am presenting on behalf of my two other group members, Amelia Muller and Remus McAvee. Finding Common Ground is a plan to reimagine the New England Town Common for the 21st century. South Common is one of Lowell's greatest assets. For decades, it had been a gathering place and a focal point for the town, but in recent years has become more of a sort of forgotten backyard for the city. We began thinking about the typology and the function of town commons more generally, that they've historically served to make key city institutions like schools or courthouses, post offices, and churches legible to each other. We envision a South Common that fulfills this role, but one which reaches beyond the institutions that border it and creates vital connections and a more cohesive and intuitive streetscape from Gallagher Terminal through the Jam neighborhood and into downtown Lowell. Our vision draws inspiration from contemporary linear parks and proposes a series of green spines down key corridors to give the sense of a spillover from South Common, as well as the development of vacant lots into new open spaces or satellite commons. The key corridors are spines that we've identified to create more direct linkages from Gallagher through the Common, the neighborhood, and into downtown are South Street, which is right here, and Pearl Street, which is right here. South Street is the only existing direct connection from the Common up through the neighborhood, and it has the advantage of connecting the school, the Lowell Housing Authority South Common Village, and it also ends in the vacant lot at the corner of South and Middlesex. This is one of the satellite commons that we're proposing. You can see the section that we've built out for South Street on the title slide of this presentation. The other and the key intervention is Pearl Street, which also has the advantage of ending in another satellite common that we're proposing. And we're also proposing a Pearl Street extension right here, which would create another direct linkage through the Common, and it's currently a parking lot on Appleton Street. So the major interventions and a rough idea for phasing are first, greening simply through street trees and planters. Second, or possibly concurrently with the greening, sidewalk widening, curb improvements, and the installation of new higher visibility crosswalks. Third would be major street improvements and the conversion of vacant lots into small programmed satellite commons. And finally, the deployment of what we're calling follies. To reinforce this notion of a continuous common, we're proposing the use of distinct branded programming elements, So it's anything from play spaces to food stalls, bike racks, and we've even included a climbing wall and a Ferris wheel just for fun, which are intended to be playful and lively and also to adhere to a certain uniformity in color palette and design to visually draw the common along the green spines. We've built out a section for Pearl Street as an example. In addition to its advantages I mentioned before, we propose converting Pearl into a pedestrian-only street. It's 1 block long, about 250 feet, and runs parallel to Garnet Street and is serviced by a large alleyway. There are 2 other streets that are coming up from the Common, Favor and Garnet, which we think could also be converted to pedestrian traffic only, perhaps after a more in-depth traffic analysis done by the city. In this section, you can see the greening and the deployment of follies, as well as some sidewalk improvements to get a sense of how all of these interventions together might create a more dynamic streetscape to draw foot traffic through the neighborhood. Finding common ground is informed by community engagement that we conducted with our studio cohort over the spring 2019 semester, including intercept surveys with an asset mapping exercise, a visual preference survey, attendance at local meetings, including city council, as well as a public sentiment survey. We heard over and over again residents calling for more parks, green spaces, playgrounds in the neighborhood, and improved sidewalks. And we've designed this project to hopefully respond to those desires. We've also included low, mid, and high range budget projections, and the city has more detailed budget projections from us. We believe that these interventions will create a more cohesive and intuitive urban experience, as well as strengthen the connections between Gallagher Terminal and the rest of the city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sydney. All right, so we're going to switch it back over to go to our next stop, which is the city of Lynn. Lynn has roughly 95,000 residents and 2 stops on the Tees Newbury-Rockport lines. If you just could go back 1 slide, please, Meredith, just so folks can see the map and kind of just get oriented as to where Lynn's located. The team from Northeastern collaborated with Bill Boschnack, Jeff Whedon, Jim Cowdell, and Megan Hamill from the city and chose the Hall Company and Roulez Cycles as their community stakeholder partners. Let's see what they've envisioned for Lynn's downtown transit-oriented neighborhood. I think James is going to be our presenter today. Thanks, Meredith.
Hi, everyone. This is Jim with Northeastern. I am going to share a video as well. Please let me know if you don't hear audio, if you don't see any slides moving.
Welcome to Northeastern University's submission to Massing on behalf of the City of Lynn. My name is James Nee, and I will be your host.
The audio is really low, Jim.
Cycling amenities in the City of Lynn. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to thank Massing for putting this design competition together and the City of Lynn for partnering with us here today. In addition to myself, the Northeastern team is made up of Hannah Silbert, Asim Dahar, and Fuyang Sung.
I just paused it real quick. Are you guys able to hear the audio?
It's still very quiet.
Okay, it's on the maximum setting and it's very loud in my headset. So let me check this. I'm gonna rewind it just a little bit. Let me know if the volume's any better.
Okay.
Team is made up of Hannah Silbert, Asim Dahar,
Much better.
and Fuyang Sung. The City of Lynn has been and continues to be a prime candidate for transformative transit-oriented development. As a gateway city, Lynn has shown strong potential for growth in TTOD due to its proximity to Boston, an existing commuter rail station, and development potential. Work is already underway between key stakeholders such as MassDOT and Mass Inc. to increase public transportation ridership through
Hey,
Hey, Jane.
Jim. I think we've lost you again.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, let me try hitting, let me back it up just a little bit and hit play again. Hopefully it actually works this time.
Strong potential for growth in TTOD.
Great. Thank
due
you.
to proximity to Boston, an existing commuter rail station, and development potential. Work is already underway between key stakeholders such as MassDOT and Mass Inc. to increase public transportation ridership through increased access, frequency, and other studies related to things such as equitable fare pricing. In 2018, Lynn and other partners committed to the expansion and completion of the Northern Strand Community Trail, which will run to and through the city of Lynn. This connection will help to complete a trail currently serving other North Shore communities. This extension would add 4 miles of trail, including through Lynn's downtown cultural district and to the waterfront area. In order to coincide with the planned extension of the Northern Strand Trail and to further the TTOD goals of the area, the Northeastern team proposes to Mass Inc. and the City of Lynn the incorporation of several key recommendations, such as strategically located physical cycling amenities, as well as community-based cycling programs. These recommendations are vital as they will help to support further key TTOD goals within Lynn, such as encouraging more equitable access to transportation, increasing public transit ridership, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, better connecting Lynn to the region, as well as encouraging area development. Our research was inclusive of numerous journals and peer-reviewed articles, which formed the basis of our initial framework. In order to assure that our recommendations would meet the current and future needs of the residents of Lynn, we engaged directly with the community stakeholders. While some of our outreach took place remotely, on March 4th, we gathered with a large group of advocates to present our initial findings. The open dialogue proved to be beyond value, and that the direct engagement showed us where personalized needs for the city of Lynn are. Additionally, we partnered with nonprofit organizations like Bike to the Sea regarding their organization's feedback on our initial findings. From all of this, we came to several key findings. First, the consideration of equity with cycling infrastructure development is paramount to other concerns. Second, with an increase in cycling amenities, there are measurable increases in transportation access and usage. Third, cycling amenities increase the value of other property. Fourth, safety and security amenities are the most desired types. And last but not least, there are a diverse set of funding opportunities available for cycling amenities. With these key findings in mind, the Northeastern team has made 4 recommendations to the City of Lynn, which are outlined further in our Mass Inc. submission materials, as well as a detailed report prepared for the city on this topic. Our first recommendation is the immediate creation of a cycling amenities team within Lynn, one which is focused on equity, planning, acquiring capital, and which is made up of a diverse set of representatives. Our second recommendation is for the acquisition and deployment of specific cycling amenities to be deployed at key locations throughout the city. Some of the amenities include things such as mobile wave delineators, a park and pedal facility at the MBTA rail station, as well as outdoor information kiosks. Additionally, amenities such as post and ring bike racks and repair stations are included. The third recommendation is the utilization of the community in both the design and creation of specific cycling amenities, such as the post and ring bike racks. By engaging with the community directly, we have the opportunity to highlight Lynn as a cultural center, reduce the likelihood for vandalism, and increase funding opportunities. Our fourth and final recommendation is the creation of a cycling and safety culture through community-wide cycling events. Specifically, the City of Lynn should host community bike days and events to encourage cycling as a mode choice. Additionally, the city should encourage local businesses and cycling groups to form partnerships to benefit community members, while also directly encouraging all developers to incorporate cycling amenities into their projects. That concludes our presentation. Thank you for your time, and if any of the attendees are interested in more information on our submission, we'd be happy to connect with you after the event.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you, Jim. Now, our final stop is going to be Springfield. And so, Meredith, you can pull up the slide of Springfield. It is a Pioneer Valley city of 155,000 residents with commuter rail service to Hartford, Connecticut, and New York City. So it's not on the MBTA commuter rail service lines yet, but it does have commuter rail service. 4 teams from UMass Amherst worked with the city leads, Brian Connors and Scott Hansen, and with the community-based organization, Rad Springfield. And so if we go to the next slide, we'll see the first up is the Campus Catalyst team. Here's what they've designed for the transit-oriented neighborhood near Union Station. Marcos, would you like to start your presentation?
I'm actually going to let Meredith hit play and take it from here.
Okay. So.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay.
Meredith, we can't hear the sound.
Hello and welcome. My name is Marcos Gonzalez, and I'll be presenting our TTOD planning and design proposal we're calling the Campus Catalyst. My group members, Caitlin Davis and Anna Kellerman, and I would like to thank our professors, Frank Sleepers and Michael D. Pasquale. We'd also like to thank Scott Hansen, the principal planner for the City of Springfield, and our community partners, Brad Springfield. And of course, we'd also like to thank Mass Inc. for hosting this design competition. We embarked on our design process with this one question in mind: why can't our communities be more like college campuses? From a design perspective, college campuses are compact, dense, diverse, and most importantly, walkable. There's a focus on people-powered modes of transportation, such as walking and biking, which increases accessibility and the overall vibrancy of the campus community. In this way, they serve as a model for how our current neighborhoods can be adapted towards transit-oriented communities. The foundation of our proposal is the establishment of a college campus in the heart of the Union Station District. This campus core will serve as the anchor for a fully integrated people-powered transportation network, creating an authentic campus feel throughout the district. The University of Massachusetts Springfield campus will better connect students across the Commonwealth and along the Knowledge Corridor into Connecticut and New York. The newly renovated Union Station is the key to that connection and the centerpiece of our people-powered transit system. The proposed campus as a catalyst for change is more than just about economics. It's truly about the people. We envision the campus serving as the conduit between the state, city, and the local community. Student-led organizations and programs broaden access to cultural and economic opportunities for Springfield residents. Looking at examples such as the new UConn Hartford campus, key academic programs would be located on the new campus and closer to the vulnerable populations they serve. The second-tier economic effects of providing new amenities, additional entertainment, and housing clustered around the new urban campus as an opportunity for local entrepreneurs. People-powered circulation is truly the unifying design element throughout our proposal. Similar to a college campus, we focus on increasing pedestrian and biking infrastructure, like valley bike lanes, public bike repair stations, and emphasizes the need for automotive circulation and increases accessibility throughout. Tactful urbanism interventions throughout the site are key to implementing rapid and targeted change. We focus on tactful urbanism interventions that truly complement the biking culture unique to Springfield. These include hosting a bicycle crit race, sponsoring a weekend parkway ride where bicyclists take over the streets, and by installing a pump track bike park in the underused parking lot on Lyman Street. Phase one of our three-phase proposal focuses on building the core of our new UMass Springfield campus on two parking lots at the center of the Union Station District. This will establish campus amenities such as the student union, classrooms, galleries, a dining hall, and a rec center, which will be open to the public. In order to create a cohesive biking network throughout the Union Station District, a large protected bike lane running down the length of Lyman Street will function as a spine connecting the Connecticut River Bikeway to Union Station into the more residential neighborhoods of Upper Springfield. Throughout the bike route, we introduced 3 bike parks designed in collaboration with Brad Springfield. We dedicated space for a UMass student and Brad Springfield partnered bike repair shop along Lyman Street. We proposed opening Dwight and Chestnut Street to two-way traffic with corresponding bike lanes. And lastly, we proposed the reuse of iconic buildings such as the Paramount Theater and the Stearns Building. In phase 2 of 3, we envisioned UMass Springfield would generate an increased demand for amenities to support the campus. We proposed the strategic infill of parking lots with mixed-use buildings such as grocery stores, maker spaces, apartments, and additional small businesses. We allocate space for the creation of a large public green east of Chestnut Street. We expand the campus footprint to better connect across Dwight and Chestnut Street while improving sidewalks, adding protected bike lanes, and enhanced crosswalks. The build out of our proposal will continue to infill vacant sites, finalize green pedestrian connections, and expand bicycle infrastructure. We create additional market rate, affordable, and subsidized housing typified by a series of central courtyards. We expand housing and facilities for the local homeless population and continue to implement a complete street network throughout Union Station District. With the UMass Springfield campus acting as a catalyst, this three-phase approach combined with tactile urbanism will stimulate reinvestment and increase amenities, creating a vibrant place where students and Springfield residents alike will want to build their futures. This has been our TTOD proposal Campus Catalyst. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Campus Catalyst team. Next up, we have a project called Connect the City. Let's see what they've envisioned. I'm going to hand it over to Stephen.
Perfect. Good afternoon, everybody. I am presenting this on behalf of my group mates, which consisted of Jess Shatanis and Keith Benoit. And I will present you this little video we made. Good afternoon, and I present to you Connect the City, catalyzing cycling culture in Springfield. Connect the City seeks to designate a park tailored to the collaborative vision of Springfield's cycling and skating communities. This park, positioned between Taylor and Worthington Street, encourages active users to participate in safety and maintenance workshops with Red Springfield, our community partner, as well as borrow gear from the on-site bike library and engage with other sport enthusiasts. Now, let's explore the planning and design process behind this concept. After analyzing the existing conditions of the site in the Union Station District, our team developed preliminary sketches of the park's primary features, the skate and bike park and the traffic garden. The installation of these two features is projected to ensure the vitality and growth of cycling and micromobility culture in Springfield. The traffic garden is unique as well because it creates a safe atmosphere where new cyclists can easily learn the rules of the road and become comfortable with basic riding techniques prior to transitioning to riding on the real street. A vibrant micromobility culture supports a community's economic development by empowering users to socialize in designated spaces, actively travel via bike lanes and greenways, and explore local amenities. The liveliness of a city is contingent on the energy radiating from its source of active recreation. Rad Springfield is the voice of the city's youth, and this park offers so much more than a permanent gathering location, especially since there's no parks with any skate infrastructure within Springfield's boundaries. Now let's explore the steps that we need to take to achieve this vision. While Valley Bike Share logged about 200,000 miles within the past year, and the city has installed miles of bike lanes downtown, the extension of these bike networks is crucial. Secondly, the development of the bike library and the Rad Springfield community space is important in order to energize Springfield and diversify its transportation options. This timeline demonstrates that micromobility culture in Springfield exists throughout all seasons. By hosting competitions and gear demos at the skate and bike park, offering cycling lessons at the modal traffic garden, and holding workshops at the bike library, the new park will remain active all year long. The bike library will emerge as the go-to meeting place for cyclists and skaters of all levels, as well as will function as Rad Springfield's new community space, linking Rad Springfield and their cyclists to the bike park, as well as Rad Springfield to the greater community around it. Dave and Karen will also teach their son about bike and street safety at the traffic guard, which will be equipped with realistic stop signs and traffic lights and designated bike lanes, while Dan, a Rad Springfield employee, teaches skate lessons at the skate park. Following a long day of learning and riding, users can relax and reflect on their progress at the bike library, just steps away. The bridge displayed in the plan view unites skaters and cyclists and park spectators as well as passive users. The bridge also adds an additional layer to the park's dimension and emerges as the ideal location for viewing competitions, events, and programs. This planning and design concept focused on catalyzing the micromobility culture in Springfield and is sure to connect the city and spark a greater sense of community. Thank you for joining me in this presentation, and I hope has a great day.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Stephen.
You're welcome.
All right, so third up, and we're almost there, folks. I know that we're a little after 2, so just hang in there with us for a few more minutes. We have a plan called In the Loop. Let's see what they've designed for Springfield. Christopher, do you want to share?
Yes.
Yes.
Hold on one second. Okay. Hello, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to present In the Loop, a community-based TTOD strategy for Springfield, Mass. This project is the product of the Landscape Architecture Studio at UMass Amherst in collaboration with our community partner, Rad Springfield. We'd like to thank several contributors, including the Springfield Senior Planner, Scott Hansen, and our in-studio instructors, Frank Slegers and Michael D. Pasquale, for their insights and assistance. Springfield is the central gateway city into New England and is poised to become the cultural hub for greater Western Massachusetts. Our site is ideally located adjacent to downtown Springfield, the Connecticut Riverwalk, and the recently renovated Union Station. However, elevated rail lines and car-dominated throughways create barriers to movement, while a recent gas explosion that destroyed several dozen structures has increased local vacancy and the presence of underutilized lots. In the Loop, with the bike advocacy group Rad Springfield, works to promote cycling as an equitable way to increase connectivity and accessibility between residents, Union Station, and the downtown. We build upon existing bike lanes in the recent Valley Bike Share Initiative by combining tactical interventions and permanent infrastructure to create a bikeable downtown with multiple loops. Community programming and cultural events, combined with long-term housing initiatives, support the loops by adding density, activating public spaces, and increasing community ownership. One proposed asset is a downtown wheels park that celebrates youth in motion, located in an empty lot behind the soon-to-be renovated Paramount Theater. The site is within a 5-minute walking radius of Union Station and will be designed in collaboration with our community partner Rad Springfield and the 413 Bike Life crew. On-site design charrettes will engage bike youth in the design process, having them construct and test pop-up wheels parks using movable ramps, cones, and paint. This will serve to immediately activate the space, which will later be transformed into a permanent wheels park for the bike youth through the installation of hardscape bike park components and ramps. This strategy of combining immediate interventions and programming with long-term infrastructure will be deployed throughout the downtown to activate and welcome people into Springfield's public spaces. New programming, like the Wheels Park, will be woven into the existing fabric of open space and social amenities that are already thriving in the city. The Hendy Bike Path is a proposed bike route that will connect Union Station, the greater Springfield neighborhoods, the downtown, and the existing Connecticut Riverwalk and Bikeway. The downtown loops hang off of the Hendy Bike Path and serve to connect the downtown attractions mapped above through tactical bike infrastructure systems, as seen top right, that can be rapidly deployed. An important facet to implementing these loops is to connect the existing community to the systems of ownership within these networks. Partnering with nonprofit agencies like Wayfinders and other local housing initiatives, the city can empower traditionally marginalized populations to benefit from investments through a mixture of private and public development. Increasing both population density and ownership is a vital step towards the creation of a successful, vibrant, and active streetscape. By stacking cultural events, tactical interventions, and long-term housing initiatives, Springfield grows into a diverse, equitable, and connected gateway to Massachusetts in the greater New England region. The recently renovated Union Station is reinforced as a nexus for transformative transit-oriented development, catalyzing the formation of a vibrant downtown community. It's just a matter of getting everyone in the loop. Thank you for your time.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Chris. And now our final team from Springfield has reimagined a busy quarter and our project called A New Worthington. Let's see what they've created. Olivia, I think is going to be our presenter today.
Hi, yes, and I will be sharing a video, so just let me know if you don't hear anything.
Okay.
Hello, thank you all for being here. I'm Olivia, here with teammates Kinjal and Nigel. Our team is excited to share our proposed redesign of Springfield's Union Station District with a focus on promoting equity, improving transportation, and creating innovative spaces. First, we would like to thank our studio professors, Frank and Michael, who guided us all the way from in-class sketches to virtual studio. We'd also like to thank Alex from Rad Springfield, Chuck Irving, Scott Hansen, and everyone in attendance for supporting our work. A New Worthington illustrates how Springfield can elevate existing assets and introduce new amenities to increase economic mobility. We focus our design on the historic and important artery of Worthington Street running through the Union Station District. This transit-oriented district is the ideal location for revitalized development due to its already available amenities and steadily increased ridership, generating thousands of new visits to Springfield per year since the reopening of Union Station 3 years ago. Its central location creates optimal opportunities to impact the community, with easy access to Union Station, ample open lots, and the Connecticut River at the end. To link all the current and proposed assets along and adjacent to Worthington, we designed a 1.2-mile linear park that stretches just past the intersection with Armory Street, all the way down Worthington Street to East Columbus along the river. This bold move acts as a catalyst to economic development through the spine of the Union Station District. The linear park features a two-way vehicular road, protected two-way bike lanes, a wide pedestrian path, and places for tactical urbanism. This multimodal design will dramatically improve the urban environment of Springfield, bringing primary focus on the experience of people and reducing the dominance of vehicles. We propose developing the linear park in a series of phases, starting with tactical interventions that begin outlining bike lanes and creating areas for community projects and gatherings. Phase 1 will see the preliminary design of the park, leading to full completion by Phase 2. Upon completion, areas for outdoor cafe seating, engaging art installations, and a cosmopolitan streetscape will create a unique urban experience. Increased canopy and rain gardens will address heat islands common throughout Springfield. Through predominantly adaptive reuse of current structures as well as some new infill, a patchwork of residential, mixed-use, and commercial spaces will create the live-work-play dynamic offered in the most desirable of cities. Our project was guided by the concept of incubators, or intentional interventions that create opportunities for dynamic experience. We focused on tactical, social, ecological, and economic influences that can be made through design and planning for optimal community impact. Through the strategic introduction of each incubator during a series of phased developments, the complex urban fabric will be created. Connecting to the proposed arc of recreation through Glen Road, the linear park begins in the historic McKnight residential area and passes our proposed McKnight apartment complex with 140 units of both affordable and market rate options, private open space, and a bodega along Worthington for the community. Adjacent is the new McKnight Park, an amenity to both the McKnight neighborhood as well as those traveling along the linear park. Our next point of intervention is the difficult location on Worthington just before Spring Street, where both the Friends of the Homeless and Police Department are located. Across the way, large open lots currently underused can be redesigned and become Springfield's urban farm. We propose hiring people experiencing homelessness to maintain the space and offering plots at a sliding rate. The 2012 gas explosion site located further down Worthington is an incredible opportunity for redevelopment. We propose creating a green getaway in this downtown location, developing the Worthington Street Park between Chestnut and Spring. Adaptive reuse of buildings for mixed-use and residential developments on Lyman, Dwight, and Chestnut will fill the area with life and activity. Our linear park leads all the way through downtown into our new proposed Riverfront Arts District, starting at the U91 skate park. This repurposed end of the north garage will create a space for youth to test tricks and ride, and for artists to create beautiful murals facing the river. The district will also link the historic Paramount Theater and recently closed City Stage to a new population of creatives. The crown jewel of the Connecticut River will once again be distinguished through an improved river bike trail, increased bike connection from Worthington Street's linear park, and adaptive reuse of the currently unused building with incredible views. Just a quarter mile from Union Station, The new Riverfront Arts District will become a regional draw while creating a space for artists to showcase their talents and create community. The innovative culture of Springfield offers fertile ground for creative interventions that serve a diverse population. A new Worthington is designed as a guide to highlight the city's worth and inspire feasible change. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Anu, the Worthington team. So now I know that we are very well over what we had expected for our time today, but now we would like to present our winners. Our winner, and we're actually going to have only one winner this year, but before we recognize the winner, I would like to first recognize the first runner-up, which happens to be Finding Common Ground. The judges thought that this project was the start of something truly transformative for the city of Lowell. So I want to say well done to Finding Common Ground. So I know that one of our team members is here on the line with us, but in the interest of time, I can't let you make a concession speech or anything like that, or sorry, an acceptance speech or anything like that. So I'm going to move on to our winner. So according to the judges, this project captures the nuances of the economic, social, and political realities of this gateway city. It succinctly addresses the conflict and opportunities for using the transit-oriented neighborhood for its spaces as live theater. The game approach created not just an opportunity to build great places and spaces, but effectively create strategies for creating dialogue and collaboration among residents and stakeholders. The solution connects important places, crosses ethnic and cultural lines, stands out in its feasibility with just the right scale and scope. So I want to say congratulations to In the Loop for doing a terrific job analyzing and interpreting and designing an equitable transit-oriented development project that is sensitive to many dimensions of Springfield's local context. So everyone, that's it. Congratulations again, Team Springfield. In the Loop, which includes UMass Amherst students Jackie Bruce Lloyd Hahn, and Christopher Ramage. UMass Amherst faculty advisors Frank Sligers and Michael DiPascale. Springfield City officials Brian Connors and Scott Hansen, and community partner Rad Springfield. We'll be featuring the winner on an upcoming episode of the Gateways podcast and in other communications channels from Mass Inc. over the next year, as well as access to select Mass Inc. events in the coming year. We also hope to honor the team at a State House event when we're able to meet in person again. Well, that's it. So thank you everyone for joining us. And Meredith, if you could just go to the last slide, just so we can wrap it up. I know folks have, the next Zoom event to get to. Thank you for joining us today. Before you go, we invite you to complete our survey. We'll place the URL in the chat, as well as have all the slides, as well as the overall event presentation available for download at some point from our website or via follow-up email. We'll also leave the chat space open for the next few minutes for you to share your kudos and comments with the participants. And so again, if you'd like to reach out to a particular team, feel free to give us an email at ttod@massinc.org, and we'll forward your communication. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Congratulations to all the teams for creating amazing TOD projects for your gateway cities. We look forward to next year's event, and everyone take care and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks, Tracy. Thanks to all the student presenters. That was great.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and thank you for your patience, everyone. As I mentioned, we're well over what we had planned, but, and I just want to say again, all the projects were amazing. I want to say also the judges were extremely impressed by what you guys provided, and they were also very excited because they were like, this was probably, being a part of the judging process was probably one of the most refreshing things that they've done since we've all been sequestered in their homes. And so they really enjoyed, what you guys all created. So thank you so very much. All right, and now I'm gonna have to log out and get onto a Zoom with our winner. But if anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call. Excellent. Thank you.
Folks, we're about to end the webinar, so if you have any further comments, please feel free to shoot us a note at ttod@massinc.org, and thanks again for joining us.